These banana scones with peanut butter glaze use up overly ripe bananas. They are soft and flaky and buttery, and the combination of banana and peanut butter with a little hint of cinnamon is just so delicious. Welcome back to Mimi's Organic Eats. Today we're making banana scones with peanut butter glaze. If you guys have overly ripe bananas that are black and they look like this, then you need to make these banana scones with peanut butter glaze. Let me show you how to make them. First, we're going to add 383 grams of all-purpose flour to our stand mixer with the paddle attachment. Next, adding 75 grams of light brown sugar. Next, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. You guys want to make sure you use baking powder and not baking soda. This is what's going to make these scones extra fluffy. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt. And then last, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. This little bit of cinnamon is going to bring out the banana flavor, and it pairs really well with the peanut butter. You guys are going to love it. Now go ahead and mix this for just a couple rotations. We're just going to combine the dry ingredients. And now if you guys don't have a stand mixer, you can totally do this by hand as well. You're just going to do this in a large mixing bowl and then just go ahead and whisk the dry ingredients together. And now we have 113 grams of cold salted butter. And this is cold straight from the fridge. You want to make sure that you guys are using cold butter for scones because it's similar to pie dough where we want the butter to be cold because that's what's going to create that flaky and tender scone. So my top trick for getting flaky scones is to grate the butter using a large box grater. So the size of the grate you want is about the size of like mozzarella cheese that you would put on top of pizza. So I'm using this large grate right here. And so look at this butter. This is what we want. And if you guys don't have a large box grater like that, you can cut this into small cubes as well. That will also work, but I find the grater is just a little bit better. So we're gonna add this grated butter into our mixing bowl. And now don't mix the butter and flour mixture just yet. We're gonna add our overly ripe bananas, and you could just break these up into chunks and add them into the mixing bowl. And then last, we're gonna add half a cup of whole milk. So now you're gonna mix this on low until we have a shaggy-like dough. And you don't wanna over-mix the scone dough, so as soon as it's coming together, we're gonna stop the mixer. And if you guys don't have a mixer, you can still make this recipe just by doing this by hand in a large mixing bowl. And I would just get in there with your hands just like this. I find with your hands works a lot better than if you were to try to use a spatula. That wouldn't really work as well. But if you have kitchen gloves, I would recommend using those because that will help a lot. So you guys may still see dry bits on the bottom and you have kind of like a shaggy dough. This is what we want. You don't want to overmix this. So now I like to finish this with my hands. Just take your hands and squish the dough together and get those dry bits that are going to be stuck on the bottom. So once you mix in all the dry bits, then the dough is ready. So line a half sheet pan with parchment paper, and then we're just gonna put this dough onto the sheet pan. So now you're gonna use your hands and just form this dough into a disc that is about 7 inches in diameter. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it can be kind of rustic. This is great. Now make sure you have a sharp knife, and we're gonna cut this into 6 triangles just like a pizza. Then we're gonna separate these triangles out on the baking sheet so they're all evenly spread apart. And your dough's gonna be a little bit sticky, but that's okay. Just do your best to work with it, even if it is a little sticky. Now it's time to let these scones chill in the fridge for 30 minutes. And you guys can also preheat your oven to 400 degrees at this time. So to make our peanut butter glaze, I have 212 grams of sifted powdered sugar in a medium mixing bowl. And you guys want to make sure that you sift your powdered sugar Super important for any frosting so you get a smooth and creamy frosting. Next, I'm gonna add 57 grams of peanut butter, or that's about a 1/4 cup. And now you guys notice I'm using the Costco organic peanut butter. This is my favorite one. And I owned a bakery for over 10 years, and I tried so many different organic peanut butters, and this one was by far our favorite, and it's what we use for everything at my bakery, and it's still what I buy today. So good. And next, we're gonna add in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk. Always start out with less milk whenever making the glaze because you can always add more. You can't take it out, so always start out with less. And you're gonna have a thick glaze if you use less milk, or a runnier glaze if you use more milk. So depending on how you like your glaze, you can use whatever you prefer. I prefer a thicker glaze, so I like to use less milk. And then grab a whisk, and we're gonna whisk this together. And if it's not whisking together or it's a little bit dry, go ahead and add a little bit more milk. And a little trick for you guys, if your glaze is stuck in your whisk like it is with me right here, which drives me insane, grab a butter knife and you can just push it out. This trick works really well. And if you guys don't have a whisk like this, you can actually just use a fork to mix it up. It's gonna have the same effect, and you don't have to worry about it getting stuck in your whisk. I'm being so careful with the milk because I really like that super thick glaze, but it's gotta be spreadable. So if you guys like a thick glaze like I do, it's gonna barely fall off your whisk like this. If you have much thinner of a glaze than that, it's gonna kind of melt into the scones and it won't be as thick on top. So it's totally up to you guys. So if you use the butter knife, go ahead and leave it in here because you can just use that to frost the scones. Now it's time to bake your scones, and we're baking these at 400 degrees for about 20 to 24 minutes. Once your scones have come out of the oven and they've cooled completely, then it's time to glaze them. So I'm just using a butter knife to add glaze on top of these scones. If you guys prefer a runnier glaze, a thinner glaze, and you want to put it in a piping bag and drizzle it on top of the scones, you could totally do that too. But I like the really thick glaze, and I like it to be covering the top of the scone completely. And now you guys have delicious homemade banana scones with peanut butter glaze. This is the perfect way to use up overly ripe bananas. If you guys want more recipes for overly ripe bananas, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join me next time in the kitchen. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and drop a comment below.